My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hey guys, so well, apparently this Wimbledon qualifying preview did well at Wimbledon. I barely remember it, to be honest. I mean, I've done so many streams by now, I don't remember how it went. But well, I'm gonna try to do the same. I'm gonna share the draws with you in a second. Both we're gonna talk about both the men's and the women's. Hopefully, will be fine with me probably focusing a bit more on the men's, but that's just what I watch more. But I will definitely try to do my best as well. And yeah, I think we're just going to look over the draws really. It's starting in 4 minutes. We wanted to do this a little bit earlier, so there's going to be a bit of an overlap, but I mean, we're going to be fine somehow. How am I doing today, Ashley? Fine. A little bit better. My health. I was recently sick, but a little bit better with that, and very excited because this is one of the best tournaments of the season. This is the best one of the best tournaments of the year, one of the best weeks of the year. This is the U.S. Open qualifying. It's fantastic every time we get it. Every time we have that huge challenger event, essentially on the men's side, and well, I'm excited to talk about it with you. I'm excited to start watching it in literally 3 minutes. Well, probably in like 45 minutes, since I'm gonna first talk to you and then start watching. Your body is ready for Fernie job, surfing Tori. Okay. Glosman by as well. Um, what else do we have? This is not Diego Schwartzman's last event, but we're gonna start from that. Will there be a watch along after the draw preview? I don't think so, but I think we're gonna have some watch alongs for the Cincinnati finals today, right? So not right away, but when you're gonna have Cincinnati finals, you will have the watch alongs there. Yeah, for both Cincy finals, as the producer tells us. Anyway, let me just basically start on with talking about the draw. So Diego Schwartzman, yes, of course, this is not his last event. He's going to finish in Buenos Aires, but this is very likely his last Grand Slam event. By the Australian Open, I don't think he will be able to enter anymore on his ranking, so he could maybe get a wild card. I don't know if he will. I would assume not. So it is maybe his last Grand Slam match, maybe his last Grand Slam event. I think this is not a particularly exciting section either. That opening here with Thiago Tirante being the top seed, and then Richard Gasquet. Richard Gasquet, of course, almost qualified at Wimbledon, but we know that he is a bit of a shell of himself physically. A few clay quarters here, by the way. Vidius Gaubas making his debut in Grand Slam qualifying. Very exciting young Lithuanian, 19 years old. He is working with Guillermo Garcia Lopez, the former world number 24, and he will play Daniel Rincon, who won this event in the juniors back 2 years ago. Actually, 3 years ago by now already, when he beat Yun Cheng Shang. And yeah, I think this is like super open. Denis Kudla hasn't played most of the summer because he had a kid and he wanted to stay with his family. So everything is not, kind of unclear here. I think we're just gonna mostly like focus on some of the bigger sections, some of the ones where you have the best matchups in the opening round, like Fernley Job, which was already mentioned in the chat, or maybe some of the more exciting players that we're going to have in this draw. Personally, I think that Thiago Tirante is maybe the favorite of the first section, but I think that Dimitri Popko has a real chance of beating him. I think this is probably his worst matchup in section one, Tirante. Worth mentioning is that the US Open courts are expected to be playing more or less like Cincinnati, so pretty fast. And that will be impacting the results as well, around 42 in court pace index, right? Yeah, definitely it's not going to be that easy for players that like are just coming from a full season of playing on clay courts, like Gaubas, for example. Players who like to get that spin in, who like to be like really producing around, spreading the ball around the court and constructing clay court rallies. Like, I don't know, it's probably not going to be an easy event for him, and I kind of like for them, and I kind of like Tirante's chances because he's not that, right? I mean, he's mostly like an altitude clay player and has a pretty big serve as well. But yeah, I think that against Popko, it's going to be a very exciting match actually, and maybe his worst matchup out there. And later, I mean, we have Hanfman, who has already been mentioned by Ashley, that she is calling. I am not in New York City, no, definitely not. That she bet on Hanfman getting beat by the Italian player. Napolitano, I think in the last month or so, hasn't he like kind of disappeared off the tour? But certainly Hanfman's form hasn't been at his strongest this year, and his general game in like quicker conditions, yeah, it's not that great. So I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out for him here either. But generally speaking, yeah, Napolitano hasn't played in a month, so I guess it's not the worst. But still, of course, home tournament in Buenos Aires. So Ashley says that Nicolas Kicker is her big pick to win it. Are you just kind of choosing this randomly, to be honest? Because Nicolas Kicker, I mean, he's only played one match since Cordoba, and I actually kind of think he might be just retiring really soon, because it doesn't seem like he's even like he cares enough to really get into to start signing up into events. He's just using his PR for Wimbledon for this. I think for the Australian Open he cannot, because you cannot enter the same Grand Slam twice on the same PR. That's actually impossible. So I think for the Australian Open he won't have that chance. And yeah, I just don't see his chances being that high against Bonzi either. I mean, he's only played one match on grass actually in the last 6 months, and he has never been that good of clay. So Kicker to qualify is an extremely bold pick, Ashley, I have to say. Like, even more than bold. I think Bonzi, Escoffier, Nava, these are the guys to watch in this section. Of course, I also have to mention that there are 2 Poles in the qualifying draw here. Max Kaśnikowski, Kamil Majchrzak. They are kind of making Poland return to the men's qualifying stages at the Grand Slams, because the last time we had a player, like even a single player, was Kacper Żuk in 2022 at Wimbledon. So 2 years actually is how long it's been, and now we actually get 2 of them. So that's very exciting. But I think for Max, this is mostly like an opportunity type of appearance, where like opportunity, like opportunity experience. This is kind of what he can get out of the event mostly. There's some hype for Borna Gojo in the chat, and well, Borna Gojo was in the forefront last year. He played Novak Djokovic, and this year I don't think he's won a match still, right? I think he's like 0-4, 2 of these matches in January, and also recently he played a couple. I just don't think he's in form right now. Still not in great physical shape. Even the serving rhythm honestly tends to go out a little bit, which for a player like him, I think when the serve goes, you're basically dead. So yeah, I don't think he's gained a single point this year yet. So soon enough, after that US Open, he might be facing a real drop in the rankings. And the main candidates for me are mostly Karatsev and Buyun Chaokete in this one. Buyun Chaokete has been in incredible form ever since coming to the North American swing. It seems like he is basically improving by the minute, if you may, because, well, he showed up. He had some chokes against Lerner Tien and Benjamin Bonzi, but then 4 semifinals in a row, a title, a final. He's so sort of reliable as well right now with how physical he is, but at the same time, the weapons. So like it's a good combination of being able to like sustain his power, but then also grind in a very physical way and overwhelm his opponents physically. But the question is, what Aslan Karatsev will do. As Ashley says, he's a very good player. He made the Australian Open semifinals. He won Dubai ATP 500, but you just never know with a guy like him. If they play in the third round, I'm not going to tell you that Buyun Chaokete will be a massive favorite, because if he gets to the third round, I'm assuming that Karatsev will already be in like, pretty good shape, right? So I think that if he actually gets there, I'm going to start liking his chances maybe. But for now, it's pretty clear that that Buyun Chaokete is the favorite in this section. Cam Norrie is injured, so does the first seed get in draw now? No, Cam Norrie withdrew earlier, so that's already covered for. And as the qualifying is starting soon, we actually cannot. Once the qualifying commences and there's more withdrawals, it will just be lucky loser spots opening up. But Cam Nori withdrew earlier, so like that was already covered for someone next of the list got in. This is not going to, his withdrawal doesn't impact the draw because it was made after he withdrew. And yeah, let's go lower down. There's a very exciting section here, number 4. I love Medjedovic and Basavaredi, especially here and their chances. I mean, Basavaredi yesterday, there was actually a funny error on the US Open website because they showed a wildcard for Nishanth Basavaredi. And at first I was like, okay, is this something about Indian culture that I don't understand? Like, can they have 2 different names or something like that? Which, you know, sometimes in like Taiwan, they have it, right? That you have this Western name and the original. But actually, no, I mean, it was just his brother that was put in the draw for whatever reason. But it's not his brother. It is actually Nishesh, who I think is a wonderful prospect. And right after he finishes college, he's probably going to be just a threat right away. And Medjedovic, I mean, time and time again, we keep mentioning him. We're waiting for that talent to explode again after a tough season, after the battle with fitness for the first half of the year. Maybe it's going to be here. I think he kind of should like this draw because there's one thing that I have to say here. Like Medjedovic recently, he's mostly losing to other powerful players because his returning is poor, because, well, he's not always handling it when someone can match his power. And that's how he lost to like Zhukayev at Wimbledon, right? Or Tristan Boyer recently in Kerry, like almost killed him. No such players here really, like maybe Ajdukovic, but otherwise it's a pretty comfortable section for him. Dino Prismic is definitely also an eye catcher, but I mean, he hasn't played in a while. He's withdrawing from all of his events. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be a massive threat really. Jack Kennedy, if you're wondering who that is, he's a 16-year-old who got here by making the final at the under 18s USTA National Championships, otherwise known as Kalamazoo. The winner of that, so Matthew Forbes, is in the main draw. The runner-up, Jack Kennedy, is here. Probably not expecting too much from him, to be honest. I really like the chances of Mitchell Kruger in this section. He's been playing so well this year. You recently probably watched him in, Washington or Atlanta, when he really pushed Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, almost took out the Spaniard. And this is the best season that Mitch has had in like 4 or 5 years. And he might be very dangerous here, despite facing Witko Pshiva, who's just coming off a final in Poland. But, the conditions will be very different, given that in Kozerki the court played like slow and bouncy, and this will probably be much, much faster. One of my favorite ones as well is number 6. Just got the news on Twitter. Okay, that about Nori. Yeah, that was like yesterday or 2 days ago, maybe. Broady was impressed by Basavaredi in the Lincoln Challenger, taking Common Wong to 3 sets. Yeah, semi-final recently as well. There was a Lerner Tien match in the final, actually, that he really could have won. He was up a set and a break. Up until then playing very well. I think his game is super smooth, Basavaredi. And just can't wait for him to really hit the tour. In fact, I think he is sort of at that stage where he's already thinking about not coming back to Stanford. But, well, we'll see how he does. Dino Prismic, I really rate, says Ashley. Yeah, hopefully he's going to be he's just going to be healthier in the near future, because that's been the main thing for now. We just haven't really seen him after that Djokovic after that Djokovic 4-hour loss at the Australian Open. We just haven't really seen him in full flight anymore, and that's a shame. Number 6, one of my favorite sections because it's so tight. Like, everyone can win here, literally everyone, almost, maybe, but Guillen Meza. Guillen Meza is another Grand Slam qualifying debutant, and he just hasn't played a hardcourt match since like July 2023. But otherwise, I think this is so open. And Jesper de Jong usually does well in Grand Slam qualifying. You probably remember him at the Australian Open when he qualified and then played Yannick Sinner in the second round. At the French, he qualified and then lost in the second round to Carlos Alcaraz. Maybe could have even won that, honestly. Like, I think that he could have had a shot if he was just a little bit fitter after that long match with Draper in the opening round. But I'm not sure he's going to like the conditions. I really don't. And that's kind of my problem here with Jesper, as he's facing Gustavo Heide, who's kind of in the Garin mold of clay courters, where he actually likes flatter shots, flatter courts, slicker surfaces and kind of is focused on serve return as well. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, this is just so open. Moro Cañas to Truncheriti, El Hombre Quali, that guy who basically is known mostly for just performing extremely well in Grand Slam qualifying. Maybe he does it again. Kukushkin has had such a good resurgence season. I don't hate that prediction, actually, that you made just now about the winner of two or Moro Cañas making it through. I think that I actually picked Litu to make it, but I was thinking of Moro Cañas as well. I just thought that Litu will probably handle the conditions a bit better than the Spaniard. But I think, yeah, like 7 out of 8 players in this section can make it. I think that quality-wise at the moment, probably Kukushkin stands strongest, but after Wimbledon qualifying, I just don't know if he's gonna like survive physically, playing 3 very tough matches in 4 days. Yeah, right now Kukushkin really seems to struggle with that. So, and he also got blown out by Bellucci. So that is also influencing my judgment a little bit, to be honest. He did not look competitive in that match even. So I don't know. I'm not convinced at the moment. When it comes to going lower down, we've got number 7, Murkel Delian getting some hype from Ashley. I think maybe you weren't you thinking about Hugo Delian actually, by the way? Because you said that Hugo Delian, you said that Delian beat the number 5 seed, and number 5 seed is Maximilian Marterer. So I think you were thinking of Hugo Delian, the brother. Murkel is also playing pretty well this year. I mean, this is by far the best season he's had since wrapping up college, but I don't think he's a threat on hard courts. Neither is Hugo, really. And here we actually have Hugo in the 8th section. But yeah, number 7, I think that Billy Harris has a great chance to go to the 3rd round because Juan Manuel Cerundolo on hard courts is just not a threat, really. Murkel Delian, the same. Kimer Kopejans is coming back after like being injured for half a year. So yeah, I don't really think that he's got an amazing shot here. You said number 48 though, Kukushkin. I think that's a better pick for sure. Hisler just won the challenger in Kozerki, and he was playing very like disciplined, focused, economical, which is not really like what he's known for. Very different conditions, but I like that he is starting on Tuesday. This should give him enough time, I think. Billy has bad record at the US Open. I mean, really? Like, didn't he play it like once last year? Maybe in 2022 as well. But I mean, Billy is a guy who, like, for 90% of his career, he was not even close. In fact, Billy doesn't have a US Open record. Yeah, I don't think Billy even got to play the US Open last year. Yeah, so Billy does not have a US Open record. And Hisler, yeah, I think he's got a great chance. Yes, Juan Manuel Cerundolo is the brother of Francisco Cerundolo. Lost 7 times? I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, Ashley, what you're talking about. Billy Harris has not played the US Open qualifying 7 times. Billy Harris has just literally got into like Grand Slam qualifying range in terms of his ranking in the past year or so. So whoever you're talking about, it's not Billy Harris. And yes, the Juan Manuel is, of course, the brother of Francisco, a much less established brother, but, back in the day, 2021, he suddenly wins Cordoba. And, in that 7th section, I think the winner of Hisler Zhukayev is very, very dangerous. A big serving matchup. If Hisler gets through that, I think he might just take his winning momentum from Kozerki and keep going with it. Then later on, number 8, I think, is also pretty open. Hugo Delian, as I said, not great on hard courts. Ethan Quinn is a solid pick, I think. I think Ethan Quinn is not a bad one. He definitely has a good shot at the 3rd round here. Ethan won the NCAA championship last year, 2023. I think he kind of wanted to be a Ben Shelton, and literally right after that, he announced that he's not going to college after all, that he's not going back to college. And well, I'm not a fan of that decision. I don't think he was quite ready to be a Ben Shelton yet. But even if he makes the 3rd round, I don't think he will be the favorite against like Diallo or Atman. But that could be a great 2nd round matchup, Diallo or Atman. Diallo just recently, I'm pretty sure you guys, at least some of you watched that Khachanov match at Montreal. He got a title, of course, recently as well. In Chicago, was it, when he wasn't even broken, I think, for the entire week. So He was in like god mode. And in carry, he also played pretty well until he ran into the machine, Mattia Bellucci. So yeah, I think Diallo is kind of my favorite, but this is a very open one, I think, number 8. And yeah, you guys are saying that the qualifying basically already started. As I said, we are kind of going to overlap a little bit, but hopefully only for like 30 minutes or so. Anyway, let's move on to the bottom half of the men's qualifying draw. We've got Klein Fonseca, and this is, by the way, the match of the round by far. It's just incredible. I mean, this is one of these where like you're happy because you're gonna watch this match, but at the same time, one of these guys is gonna lose in the opener, and that's not ideal because Klein has been a goat in qualifying this year. Joao Fonseca, I mean, future Grand Slam champion, prodigy. I'll use the space that I have because Ghosty isn't here and call him a prodigy. And anyway, yeah, I don't know who's gonna win it. I mean, this is going to be wild. Henry Squire, you say you bet on big Germany guy? Sure, Buruchaga. I mean, he's just kind of clay court grinder. Squire should have a good chance in that match, maybe. 4 screens with various matches for Brazy, and this is definitely too much. I feel like when I watch 4 matches, yeah, I don't really see that much anymore. Ooh, Fernley has massive taping on his right wrist. That's not good. Almost looks like a cast. Wow, and he's one of my picks to qualify, so that's not ideal for me. I will get to Hassan in a second. Yes, absolutely. When it comes to Klein Fonseca, I think it's very likely that the winner of that match will be able to progress. We've got a few other contenders. Barrer hasn't played in a while. Spizziri has had some good matches in US Open qualifying. He actually finished like the last 2 seasons as the college number 1. Dangerous player, but well, I think Klein or Fonseca, like these are the guys there. And Tristan Boyer as well. He could be dangerous. I mean, in carry, he made the quarters, beating Medjedovic. He like beat him to a pulp, and then lost to Diallo in a great match. So that's another guy. Lower down, I think the section 10 is very open as well. The one where you pick Squire to beat Buruchaga. Like Luka Vanash to me has a really good draw, even though his ceiling isn't high. I just don't know who beats him here, really. Radu Albot maybe, but is this the type of playstyle that Liam Vanash? I'm already thinking of Broady because you asked about him, but I'm gonna get to him in a second. Luka Vanash is that's not the type of playstyle that he usually. Oh, Ghosty, what have you missed? Me calling Joao Fonseca a prodigy because you weren't here. But yeah, I think this isn't the type of playstyle that Vanash usually struggles with. Martin Dam would be a great quality speak choice, I think, if he played recently, because he hasn't played since the French Open. So yeah, he's been injured. Let's talk about that 11th one. There's a lot of Brits. I know we have some Brits in the chat from time to time, and we probably have some today as well. And well, in section 11, we have that very British section right now. You guys are already, sorry, not this one. Yeah, not this tab. I'm going to try to check the current result of Fernie and Jab. So Jab is already up a break, and you guys are saying he might be injured. So, well, that's already pretty tricky, as Fernie was basically perceived as one of the main favorites here. Fonseca can really crush that forehand, absolutely. But is he going to be able to have the space to do it against Klein? I mean, Fonseca for now kind of struggles against guys who take the racket out of his hands, and Klein is kind of all about that. But we'll see. Certain Chilean who won a gold medal, Nicolas Massou. Interesting. Maybe like Fernando Gonzalez more, but well, we'll see. Anyway, when it comes to number 11, Jacob Fernie, Paul Jab, Liam Broady, this is a very exciting British section. Fernie Jab, one of the best matches of the first round, but unfortunately, you guys are saying that Fernie might not be fit, which is yeah, Fernando Gonzalez did not win gold medal, did he? Nicolas Massou won the gold medal in Athens. Fernando Gonzalez won the silver medal in Beijing. That's why I mentioned Massou. But yeah, I figured you might be talking about Fernando Gonzalez and his forehand. Fonseca might have a backhand though in the future. Fernie Jab sounds interesting, but well, at least from what you're saying so far, it hasn't been, or there's basically possibility of Fernie being a bit compromised. But anyway, what else do we have here? Yeah, Virtanen and Fernie job. I think this is a very strong part of the draw. The big question is how Luca Pui is going to look. Again, he's been withdrawing from events, including Porto, where we were hoping to see him withdrawn. And well, when he was playing at Wimbledon, he also was out for a month after Roland Garros. He comes in and he qualifies and he makes the third round. So, well, maybe he can pull it off again. I love number 12 as well. If we get Bellucci against Mike Schuck in the final round, that would be insane. I mean in doubles, yeah. Gonzalez Masu, they did win the gold, but Masu also won the gold in singles at that Athens Olympics. Yeah, you're right. Anyway, in number 12, Bellucci, Mike Schuck, if we get that in the final round, I would love that. Personally, cannot go against Mattia right now, but I wonder what that choke against Safiullin yesterday is going to do to him mentally. Actually, 2 days ago already in Kerry, because Mattia had his chance to break the top 100. He was 6-1, 4-1 up and was having a perfect week up until then. Was going for 14 sets, one in a row. And he had too much points in the second set and ended up losing. Also in the last few games, Safiullin was like, he had no legs anymore. He was just like rolling the ball in on serve even. And yeah, it was rough. Then when it comes to Mike Schuck, of course, we know his doping story. He's back. He's back to Grand Slam qualifying after such a short while. But I think unlike Kashnikovsky, where it's like more about the experience, of course, Camilo would love to get a result. But I think he's got a tricky draw. Like every single round, there's going to be someone relatively dangerous. Michael Zheng made the final at Wimbledon Juniors a couple of years ago. And similarly to Basa Varedi, I think he's one of the guys who, like, after college, they're going to do extremely well. Brazy, was it you yesterday who was saying that Sinner was going to retire? But yeah, I mean, this time, definitely, I think, from what you're describing, unfortunately, I think you might be right. But we'll see. And number 13, someone is mentioning, Ashley is mentioning Choinski 99, but yeah, I mean, Jan Choinski on hardcourt's probably not a threat. I think this is a section of like two guys, Vachereau and Cressy, but Vachereau hasn't played since Halle. So like Cressy kind of stands out, definitely. I think in terms of no, it wasn't you, it was Dave, I think. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, when it comes to Cressy, I think this is a section where like he stands out in terms of the quality. But well, it's Maxime Cressy. It's a lottery play style. It can really go many, many ways. And despite him being a favorite, he's just not really reliable in that role. Benny, there's lots of love for Benny Hassan. I think Hassan is relatively dangerous in this section still. The winner of Hassan Herbert will be the toughest match that Cressy gets. That's my prediction. I think Cressy can only really lose in the second round, and Hassan or Herbert could beat him. I'm not really sure who wins Hassan Herbert. That seems very open to me. So I think there's chances there for Hassan as well. Your prediction for the final was correct. Yannick versus Big Foe. I mean, yeah, but can we really say that any prediction was correct for Rune Tiafoe? I mean, both players won the match, really. Holger did fail pretty miserably in some ways, but also the net cord on one of the match points. Just come on. That was just a nightmare. And well, number 14, I think, is super open as well, just like number 6. I mentioned that earlier, that number 6 is probably one of my favorite sections because you never know who's going to make it. In number 14, I think anyone can do it. Someone was asking earlier about Schwartzman's last event. I think this is Krajinovic's last event, though, because he posted something on Instagram that would suggest so. Maybe some last dance energy. I mean, this is just so wild. Kovalik playing so well this year, but his US Open record is pretty horrible. He's going to play Song Chan Hong. That's already not easy, but, Kovalik has a lot of confidence. Tim van Rijthoven, I watched him in Kozerki, and I just don't know if I see him winning 3 matches in a row. He was awful on return. He had zero intention to play rallies. Rodionov is out of form completely. Tseng isn't that good on hard courts. Benoit Paire, I don't know. He came to Kozerki in very focused. I called it business mode, and he said, "Yeah, this is business. I'm going for it. I'm really. I wanna win. I wanna grab the confidence. I am determined." He said his goal was not to break a racket. He broke it after just 2 games against Skatov, but then still played a very sort of chill performance. That's changed completely in the second round. It was complete circus against Gombosh. So yeah, I don't know. But if the courts are very fast, I think Per might be pretty dangerous here because what he mostly has at this stage of his career is the serve. And if he doesn't have to move much, that's even better. 15, I think there's Richard, Grenier, a few good contenders as well. Christian Garin recently disappointed a few times in Grand Slam qualifying, but we know that he can play at any slam really. Coleman Wong made the final in whatever the challenger was that Jacob Fernley won, Lincoln, I think. And definitely very talented player. Also, I think a subscriber of Talking Tennis. So Coleman, if you're somehow watching, probably go prep for your US Open match. But yeah, we're gonna be rooting for our friends of the show and stuff. Anyway, Hugo Grenier, Alexander Richard, I think they're like pretty similar in terms of having clay opponents in the opening round and having a good chance to battle in the second round, which would be a big serving matchup between two guys who like have a similarly big delivery, but then they take their baseline approach like very differently. Richard going for broke, ball bashing sometimes, and Grenier pretty much a big serve counter puncher. I don't know. It's another wild section. I think a lot of these are so open, and I wonder what sort of scores me and the other fans of this level are going to get. Whether this is going to be one of these slams where, like, yeah, we get a 6 out of 16 on average, and everyone is predicting the right qualifiers, or is this one of the ones where, yeah, it's total pandemonium. Kovalik is clear in this one, says Surfing Toddy. That's interesting to me. I mean, form-wise, yes, but is he really gonna be okay on a 42 court pace index court? I don't know. Not a big fan of these conditions for him. Well, Fernley apparently still not doing okay. That's a big shame because, well, it seemed like he would have a very good shot to qualify, but apparently not. Anyway, last section is also quite exciting. If we get that Swiss talent showdown, Ridi Kim, that will be one that everyone is going to want to watch. They're both not fit for the most part. Kim, though, might be a bit fitter, but he hasn't even played a challenger match on outdoor hard courts, so has a bit of a lack of experience. The game, I mean, it should suit conditions like this, though. And Ridi just retired to Medjedovic in Kerry, so yeah, I'm not really sure he's even gonna make it through the first round. Moreno de Alboran is always a bit underrated and kind of quietly good with a strong serve as well. He qualified last year over Yoris Delor in this crazy match, so yeah, I think it's pretty open there. And then Wolf or Alice, like if we get that much in the second round, that will be massive too. Can you imagine in this section if we get the second round between Ridi and Kim and then Wolf and Alice? That's insane. And Alice, of course, he recently made the final in Gstaad. He had that big Wimbledon run. Hasn't played on hard courts in the lead up, but he could be dangerous. And with JJ, we are just kind of waiting for his talent to explode again. We're waiting for an event where he just gets back to his game, to his best. I don't know when it will happen, but hopefully sooner rather than later. And we will also talk about the women's. I think this is even more horrible to predict in terms of like, yeah, no favorites almost. Yes, US Open is supposed to be a 42 CPI, which is like Cincinnati basically. Thank you, Ghosty. One of your favorites is 117. I already closed off that men's draw, so I have to, I guess, get back to that. But recently closed tabs, right? Yeah, 117 was Grenier. Yeah, sure, he's a contender there. But yeah, the women's draw, we're gonna see how I do in terms of talking about it here. I will find out. Oksana Rakimova is the women's equivalent of Klein Fonseca. Interesting. I wonder if I'm going to see it. Flying Yogi, if I'm going to sort of find another matchup that's maybe more relevant for that comparison in my book, because I'm not really too excited about Selekmitova Rakimova, I think. Is Nishikori in the draw, says Flying Yogi. Nishikori is not in the qualifying draw nor in the main draw. He is going to play a couple of challengers in Italy on clay, Como and Genoa. He is there with his coach and stuff. He used his protected ranking to enter one of them, and then the other he actually can play on his own right now after making that Montreal run. But Nishikori is not at the US Open. What is the Australian Open? I would have to check. I mean, this data is never really like made super official. Like we sometimes know it, we sometimes don't. But generally, the what I've heard recently is that the Cincinnati is basically one of the fastest courses on tour right now. So the U.S. Open would probably be around the Australian Open as well, and I don't know, probably not a big difference basically. Shouldn't his ranking be good enough? 222? No, I mean his ranking of 200 something. Oh, I mean right now, yes, but not before, not when the cutoff, not when the entry list was made. And anyway, he only got the points after Montreal, right? He only got to like 200 and something after Montreal, so that was too late to make the qualifying. Is there a hardcore recipe on the low 20s like a 23? I honestly don't know because these data, like, yeah, again, we don't really get them for 250s. So I don't know. I I can't really compare it to anything because I think when we had the ATP 1000 stuff, like Indian Wells still used to register at like 30 or something. Indian Wells, the court itself isn't that slow, I think, but the desert air plus the fact that the ball like really bounces high. Um, yeah, I don't know. I cannot really give you that info because, well, we don't get it generally. Like for 250s, we don't get that info. Okay, let's start talking about the women's now. First section, you are saying that Rakimova Sekmetieva is a very nice matchup. Daria Snigur is a bit of a US Open legend, right? I mean, she qualified for that at least once, and she beat Simona Halep, which was a big shock at the time, as Simona, after winning Canada, was expected to be one of the favorites. So from time to time, Snigur definitely jumps in and kind of does damage in these draws. Also, Maria Timofeyeva, of course, the fourth round at the Australian Open this year, kind of hasn't followed it up, but she's got history doing it. I also think that Sasnovic is just such an underrated player in general. I don't know if she's going to make it this time because, well, she's so inconsistent and fell out of the top 100 this year. But I think that as a ball striker, she is like, yeah, just as good as the top 30 and stuff. And I mean, once upon a time, she was around the top 30 ranking. Yeah, Heather Watson, you keep mentioning her. I think she's got a pretty tough draw indeed. Claire Vingonue, one of the more talented American youngsters, then Sasnovic or Tan. Probably Sasnovic. Yeah, it's not easy, and I think it's been a while since I've seen Heather play well. So yeah, it's not an easy draw for her for sure. We've got Zeynep Sonmez, friend of the show as well, facing Dalma Galfi, and that's another pretty tricky draw for someone that we hold close to our hearts. Well, I don't know if on courts like this, Zeynep is going to be able to qualify from this section, as it seems really strong. I mean, you've got Sasnovic here, the Galfi, even players like Gonue in the background, if you may. But the seeds are very good here, I think. I love this one between Maya Chwalinska and Maya Joint because it's the battle for who's the best Maya, even if they might be spelled a little bit differently, right? But actually, they played recently, and Maya Joint defeated her somewhat handily. She stopped Chwalinska's 13-match win streak, if memory serves right. And I don't know if Maya is going to be able to turn things around here. I mean, if the conditions are as fast as we are expecting them to be, probably not. Maya Joint, in fact, might be one of the favorites of this qualifying section. I think if she gets through Chwalinska, she probably gets through to at least the third round. Oh, I'm excited to see Anna Konyuk in here. It's quite rare for us to get there. And yeah, Warsaw rematch, as you say, that's the match that I was referring to. 16 is really good player, says Ashley. 16 is Dalma Galfi, sure. And you fancy number 26 beating the number 4 seed, Mai Hontama, really. I honestly don't know too much about Tikhonova, but Hontama seems to be a little bit stuck around that like 110 ranking, but she's solid. I don't think she's like one of the players where I look at Bro and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, so she's probably gonna go out. But yeah, Anna Konyu is of course a big story. Anytime she shows up, it's a career ruined by injuries, but who knows? Maybe she can still rediscover some of the magic that once saw her even make the quarterfinals at this event. Was it when she beat Radwanska? I think it was the quarterfinals. And I think that match is today as well between Bulgaru and Anna Koniuch. Well, Anna recently tried to come back at a couple of ITF events. And well, it didn't go that well in Roehampton in the UK, but she lost to Sonny Carta, so it also wasn't horrible. She's just 4-4 for the year, basically. But yeah, back in 2016, she made the quarterfinals, beating Bertens, beating Nara, Lepchenko, Agnieszka Radwańska, and then losing to Pliskova, who made the final that year. Paul Jubb 6-1 up on Jacob Fernley, I see in the meantime. Yeah, that's brutal, but I guess if you're saying that he's not healthy, then what can you do? She is going the college route in fall. Maya joined, you mean? Okay, and she could have gotten the wild card. You're saying the Australian reciprocal one. Yeah, I think Preston got that one right. Joint would have been a bit of a better pick, I think. But yeah, maybe if she's going college, maybe it's not worth it. Anyway, let's move on. Masarova. She hasn't followed up on her great 2023 campaign, but I think she's always a relative threat in draws like this, sort of at this playing quality. I think Rebecca Marino just had an impressive win last week. I remember looking at her match with somebody. Let me check that quickly. I think it was just like 2 days ago when I learned about it. I didn't watch it unfold, but yeah, it was against Kessler in Kerry. Rebecca Marino, also a bit of a qualifying legend, a career that's been stopped by injuries also for like a few years, even in 2013. But she's back and she's still pretty solid. She's still a big hitter. And in fact, the last few times she played well, actually, she only played the qualifying in 2021. But in 2022, she also made the third round in the main draw. The last two times she played the qualifying, she made it, 2010 and 2021. So yeah, that was quite a bit of a gap between the last two times she played the qualifying, that's for sure. And well, Susan Leymans as well, friend of the show here, with a very tricky opener against Hartono. I think Marino or Masarova, though, they are the favorites to me in this section. We've got Robin Montgomery, who I think will be looking at this and thinking, okay, this is my chance to qualify. I mean, I don't really know who Robin is supposed to lose to here, to be honest, in this section. It might be just my ignorance. Maybe I'm kind of missing somebody that's been doing very well, but I think Montgomery is the form player here. Just recently, the Washington quarters, qualifying at Wimbledon, making the second round, quarters in Hertogenbosch. So yeah, I think the young American here is kind of like an overwhelming favorite in this sixth section. Number 7, Mandlik Bejlek. That's an interesting one. I don't know if it's quite Klein Fonseca. I said I was going to try to find an equivalent of that. Probably not yet. Sarah Bejlek, Elizabeth Mandlik, mostly because Mandlik's form hasn't really been up to par since these breakout results a couple of years ago. But Sarah Bejlek, of course, one of the army of young Czechs, and that we have on tour at the moment. Jana Fett as well here. And well, Olga Danilovic still in qualifying. Wow, I kind of would have thought that she already is in main draws by now. She beat Daniel Collins at Roland Garros, and yeah, just generally has so much potential that she's never quite fulfilling. But this is a nice section for her, it seems. Maybe Sonay Kartal can beat her. Sonay, of course, a couple of years ago was just winning ITFs. Whichever tournament she was entering, she was winning. Emina Bektas, I see, has fallen out of the top 100 after kind of unexpectedly getting there last year. But yeah, Danilovic definitely would be the player here who I think has the most chances in the main draw if she gets there. Still haven't found my Klein Fonseca, but I think maybe in the latter part of the draw. Monty's section to lose, says Surfing Toady. Oh yeah, and you were trying to help me with Kessler, but yeah, I found myself. Fernie finally wins another game, says Brazy, and he's actually 2-love up in the second set. That's probably the match that I will turn on right after this stream then. Starodubtseva is pretty tough, you're saying, and she's playing Danilovic. Sure, that's probably that might be the biggest threat actually. alongside Kartal to Olga. Zeynep is in the draw. Yes, she is going to be playing Dalma Galfi in the opening round. So yeah, I think that's very tricky. I haven't really looked like the odds at the odds or something, which in this case would be a good, actually, sort of way of telling myself who is the favorite or not, because well, my knowledge is a little less sharp, that's for sure. But from what I can see, where's that match? Jesus, I just want to see what are the odds on Zainab against Galfi, and I cannot spot it, of course, right now. Maybe let me get to it another way. Yeah, so well, actually, she's priced pretty close to Galfi. I'm somewhat surprised by that. Only one match since Wimbledon for Dalma, and that was a loss to Paris's Diaz with just 5 games taken. Interesting. Anyway, let's get back to the bottom half. Liz Nuts, and this is also one of the best matches of the opening round, I think. We've got that one-handed backhand legend, Katinka von Deichmann, probably losing to Klimovicova, again, one of the brighter Czech young talents. I do think that maybe Hruntsakova, formerly Kuzmova, could be pretty dangerous on these courts, just with the way they're playing. I mean, these days, when I was last watching her, I think she's kind of not moving too much anymore, but the weaponry is still very much there, especially the serve. So I wonder if maybe she will find the courts to her liking. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, just given her form. Maybe I should just be expecting Gadetsky to make it through. And in fact, she defeated Kuzmova or Huntsakova 6-2, 6-1 this year already. So yeah, maybe I'm just a little too ballsy on Kuzmova there. Maybe Zeynep can outmove and outfox her. Yeah, I guess that's the plan. Galfi definitely the better aggressive ball striker. I should probably watch a bit more of Olivia Gadecki. Yeah, I was just thinking about this because I haven't said a word about about Section 10 yet, and I just started looking at it, and I mean, if not Shramkova, then I don't know. Shramkova is the player to beat, I think. Of course, she had a huge run on clay earlier this year. Finally got to the top 100 after years of having top 100 performances 5 times a year, but then not much more. But yeah, Rebecca Shramkova there. I think she's kind of the player to beat in this section. But if it's not Shramkova, then literally anybody can make it. And Shramkova still isn't the most consistent player out there, that's for sure. An Lee, Astra Sharma, Daria Semenistaya, maybe Semenistaya. I think there were like patches this season when she was just really racking up wins at the ITF level, right? But that was probably more earlier in the season rather than recently. Recently, I don't think I've heard of her doing that much damage. I think she actually made that quarter in Warsaw, right? I would look at Semenistaya maybe as one of the potential qualifying threats here in Section 11. Yeah, that sounds right to me. We've got another Pole, of course, here, not only Chwalinska, but Katarzyna Kawa as well in the 12th section, playing Basolc Ribera, and I think that's a tough draw at the moment. Zakharova also won a stacked ITF in Portugal recently, so I think that 12th section is kind of about the seeds, right? Basolc Ribera, Zakharova, they should be the top guns here. They should be the players who everyone is kind of looking at in terms of the potential qualification for the main draw. I would maybe say, I don't know. If Basos Ribera plays Zakharova in the final, I would maybe favor the Russian. Number 13 is also kind of about the seeds, but then again, you've got players like Chiriko or Zhidansek who used to be like good at some point at least, and then maybe lost their ways. But you never know if they won't find that quality out of nowhere at some point. And wow, I see that Glozman is beating Zhuo Xuan by 6-1 in the opening set. Wow. And this section actually is the one that's pretty much playing right now in the women's qualifying. We've got Glozman up 6-1 on bye. We've got Gibson Zakharova well, that's not the same section, but we've got Lepchenko over Zidansek 5-2 and two breaks. Also, Papa Mikhail is serving for the set against Chirico, and Parks is also serving for the set against Romero Gormas, sorry. But yeah, basically, I think that Alicia Parks is, of course, the name here. But I also was thinking Zhuok Suanbai is much stronger. Her form in like the late 2023 ITFs was just insane. I know it's been a while since then, but still, yeah. I honestly don't know too much about Glozman. Maybe this is my fault that I kind of just looked past her. Zakharova is a bit of a GS qualifying goat, says Surfing Toady. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe she's going to be the bigger threat than Bastos Ribera. But first, she needs to beat Gibson, and so far it's not been easy for her. I'm a big fan of Anka Todoni's potential. Not sure if she's going to be able to deliver it on a fast hard court, but I think, well, actually, she probably could. I mean, I think she basically has a very complete skill set. But this is a section with a lot of players who have passed, right? I mean, Sasha Vickery, also a friend of the show. Mona Bartel, not a friend of the show, as far as I know. Kristina Mladenovic, definitely not the friend of the show. And Linda Fruvirtova, even more so not the friend of the show. No, I'm joking. Of course, it's only Vickery that's the friend of the show. We don't actually have enemies of the show. But yeah, even though I like Todoni's game, this is just a section of the draw where like everyone has a past. Everyone used to be at least at some point extremely good. So yeah, not really sure what to think about this one. Now Hibino is a nasty opener. I think she tends to be quite unpleasant to face. Vey Vickery is the Klein Fonseca match you're saying. Clara Burel, friend of the show. Huh? Yeah, Clara Burel, thankfully, in the main draw. But maybe Clara Burel and Madison Keys are the enemies of the show, or at least of John. Poor Clara, if she knew who she was, if she didn't know who she was gonna play at Roland Garros, she would have done much better. But anyway, CFA, Sasha Vickery, sure, it could be a Klein Fonseca. I don't know. I still haven't found mine. Ooh, I think I just found mine. But I'm gonna get there in a second. Section 15, we've got Parisas Diaz. Didn't Parisas Diaz just win some big? I think she has. So on like in like the North American swing already. As you can see, my my knowledge on the women's qualifying draw is I try to get by. I think below main tour level, I mostly keep tabs, and sometimes of course live if I have a shot. I like to watch events for sure. But yeah, I'm definitely not as in it. Fernie has been coming to the net a lot, shorting points up 4-0 doing this. Nice. And yes, Surfing Toddy, you're mentioning the match that I was going to say. Stakusic Neff. I think this is my Klein Fonseca pick. Stakusic, after that Beijing King Cup appearance last year, everyone was probably like kind of hoping for even more from her. But, she still has that potential. And yeah, Celine Neff, the same, just super young. Maybe hasn't developed fully, but that's the type of matchup that I enjoy. It's not quite Fonseca Klein in that, in Klein you kind of have a different player, like from a different, let's say, age group. And Nev Stakusic is just two youngsters going at each other. But I think this might be my favorite matchup of the opening round of the qualifying on the women's side. And in fact, I think whoever wins Nev Stakusic might have a very good shot at making it through as well. Yeah, I would kind of like. I would fancy their chances. Rodionova's game seems to have fallen apart a bit since she won all these ITFs. Maybe it's just a quality thing, Maybe she just got to play slightly better opposition, and now she's faltering. I don't know. And I was just wondering about that 15th section, like Parisas Diaz. Yeah, she just won Kerry and also Mas Palomas. Okay, so she's on a 10-match win streak. That definitely puts her in the driver's seat here, I think. Last year she lost to Liz in the second round of qualifying, but these two massive ITF wins in a row, that sounds like threatening form going into the Open. In Maspalomas, she beat Basus Ribera, she beat Lazaro Garcia, and then in Kerry, the more relevant event since it was on hard courts, she defeated Galfi, Shibahara, Golubic, Masarova, and Zarazua. Yeah, I think that's an amazing warm up for the US Open. Maybe even too much, like maybe it was too physical and she has some issues there, but I don't know. I think that yeah, Neff is not having a good season. That's true. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's just no Klein Fonseca. Well, I mean, Klein Fonseca, it's not a given that a match like this has to happen. In fact, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that we're gonna get it. Ashley says that this job match is a joke. We pretty much got to the end of the women's draw as well. I hope that I was able to give you like at least a bit of info on it. I tried my best. I'm sorry. But I will also look at the results right now and then probably wrap up the stream basically. We've got Glosman and Bai still in that second set, now on serve, but that would be a pretty big surprise to me if Glosman was able to eliminate the Chinese. Lepchenko seems to be dominating Zhidansek. Park's already up a set as well. And on the men's, we've got that Fernley Job match probably going free, as Job is 4-1 up despite his health struggles. And what else do we have? Albot 6-1 over Barranco Cusano. That is not surprising. Martin Dam and Mochizuki. Soon at 5-all, probably the same with Broady Virtanen. Luca Pui is dominating our friend of the show, Jaime Faria. It's not ideal, but of course it's Luca Pui. He can like miss a month and then come back and be ridiculous again. And also tennis tourist Pablo Cuevas is down a set to Luca Vanash. Not surprising. I mean, he hasn't played since Australia and doesn't seem like he has any interest in reviving his career. So I think he's just showing up there. And yeah, unfortunately, another friend of the show, Aziz Dugas, didn't make it. He went to the States. He tried. Maybe, suddenly 5 withdrawals today or tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen, but I guess at this point, he might as well dream and he might as well stick around. But yeah, probably another friend of the show, Aziz Dugas, didn't make it. So that's a shame. And anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna be heading to a close then. Yeah, sure. This was pretty fun as usual. This was definitely more of a spontaneous affair, which I think you could see. But thank you for all the comments in the chat. It was definitely much more fun and easier as well for me to do it while interacting with you guys. As you can see, we hit 9,700 subscribers. There are certain people on the Talking Tennis team who are saying that we are not going to get 10K by the end of the US Open. And there are certain people who are saying that we will. So, well, show me that I'm wrong and get us to that 10K by the end of the US Open. Yannick or Big Foe? I think Francis got a shot based on the physicality of Yannick yesterday. But it also requires him to deliver mentally. Kind of feel like Tiafoe and Popperin would be a really good like Canada Cincinnati random winners double, just like Chorich Carreño Busta. So I think that maybe that can happen, and maybe sort of history will repeat itself in many ways. Have a good rest of the day, Toddy, as well. And also Keen Damien, the Job Fernie matches on Sky Sports for Ireland and UK. And guess who is on commentary? Connor and Ireland, James McGee. I don't know which any other like older Irish guys I can guess. Simon Carr, probably not. Michael Agvey, I don't think so. Mike Cation, okay, never mind. Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, he's not for Ireland and UK then, right? I mean, he's for like a global feed, right? I would assume. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they would give Jacob Fernley and Paul Job to Mike Cation. I'm sure Mike has had opportunities to commentate on either player before. I don't remember who was doing the Challenger in Lincoln, which Fernley won recently. Probably not Mike, but I think that he probably got a chance. And it seems like very much in Mike's interest and something that he knows more about than the other commentators. But Conor Nyland would have been fun. I mean, that was a good answer, right? But yeah, unfortunately, not him. They should invite him. I mean, come on, he just wrote a book. He can commentate on matches as well. Anyway, not everyone can commentate on matches after writing a book, as you can see by another person in the Talking Tennis team. I didn't say that. Anyway, no, of course, I'm just joking. Anyway, Coleman Wong winning Lincoln that Fernie was too good, says Brazy. He was too good in that final. He really was. I think Coleman is 0-4 in Challenger finals right now, but he had nothing to do in that match. Like, it's not a problem mentally yet. It might be by his next match, but against Fernie, he was just outplayed from start to finish. There wasn't anything that I could say about Coleman's performance that he did wrong. Against Blanca, earlier in the season, yeah. Against Fernie and Lincoln, no. Anyway, thank you guys again, and sure, let's keep talking tennis. I'll probably see you soon in a couple of days or whatever. But today, make sure to tune into the Cincinnati final watch-alongs for both men's and for both the men's and the women's final. Jessica Pegula, Arina Sabalenka, and Yannick Sinner, Frances Tiafoe, and yeah, target 10K subscribers. Even though I don't think we're gonna get there, I would like to be wrong. So yeah, see ya, guys.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.